The iPhone 15 is here, and I'm so excited for the new colors, designs, and updates, so let's get to it. Okay, so first let's start with the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus. We'll put the Pro models over here. These are the pre-release models that I've had in the studio for a couple of days. I have the regular iPhone 15 in black, which looks so nice, and I've got the 15 Plus in green. I also have a pink 15 and a blue 15 Plus on the way, so you'll see those in my more detailed reviews. Now this year, Apple infused the color into the glass, so now the whole back is a single piece of durable glass. It has a super nice matte finish to it, which I personally like better than the glossy finish on the iPhone 14, and it's definitely going to be less susceptible to fingerprints. I do have to say that the color on the green iPhone 15 is subtle, so if you're hoping for a super saturated look, something like what we had on the iPad 10, that is not what we have here. I think that most people are really gonna like this more muted look, but let me know in the comments section what you think. Also, I'm expecting the pink to be the most colorful one, and I'm not afraid to rock a pink phone either. Now, if you have an iPhone 14 or an iPhone 13 and you pick up one of these newer phones, you'll immediately notice that the edges feel different. This year, Apple contoured the edges so they have more of a curve and they don't dig into your hands, which is something that I definitely talked about with the previous models, especially when it came to one-handed use or for gaming. You'll also notice that just like last year's Pro models, Apple removed the notch on the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Plus, and they implemented Dynamic Island. Now, I wasn't sure how I felt about Dynamic Island when it was first announced with the iPhone 14 Pro, but after using it for a year, I absolutely love the integration it has with different apps. It's really great when I travel, and I'll talk more about it in my detailed review. Now, looking around the aluminum frame, we see the typical power button, volume up and down controls, and the mute button. We'll see the new action button in the Pro models in just a moment, but of course, continuing around to the bottom, we have the new USB-C charging port. So now you can use the same cable to charge your MacBook, iPad, or the new version of the AirPods Pro 2nd Gen with USB-C. The one product that I really wish had USB-C is the AirPods Max. I use mine all the time, and it would be super nice to be able to ditch the lightning cable for good, and I'm sure the next version will be USB-C. The Super Retina XDR display on the iPhone 15 was also upgraded. It's brighter than the iPhone 14, and now it's the same as the Pro when it comes to maximum brightness for SDR content, peak brightness for HDR content, and peak brightness outdoors. I love seeing the displays being brighter on the regular iPhone 15 because it makes them easier to use when you're outside or when you have to deal with reflections. Now, the main camera was also upgraded. It's now 48 megapixels versus 12 on the iPhone 14, and this doesn't just mean higher resolution photos and better low light performance, but it also means that we're getting a 2x optical zoom, which is great to see on the regular models. I'm not going to do a deep dive into the camera systems. If you've been part of the channel, you know that I'm a super camera nerd, but I'll keep that to the detailed reviews and comparisons. Now, one feature that I do want to mention is that you can now take portrait shots in photo mode. So if you forgot to turn on portrait mode, or if you didn't have time to switch over, you can edit your photo after you take it. You can blur out the background, and you can even change the focus point. Now, in terms of performance, Apple took the A16 Bionic from the iPhone 14 Pro, then brought it over to the regular iPhone 15. It has a faster and more efficient CPU and a more capable GPU, so in terms of performance, you're going to be good to go for a whole bunch of years. Now, battery life actually remains the same as the regular 14 for video and audio playback, and we're looking at up to a 50% charge in 30 minutes when using a 20-watt adapter or higher with the iPhone 15, and up to 50% in 35 minutes with the iPhone 15 Plus. Now, there's a new convenient charging feature which allows you to use the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Pro models to charge another device using the new USB-C port. It might not be something that you think you're going to use all the time, but it's great to be able to add some charge to your Apple Watch or your AirPods. Now, all the iPhone 15 models come with a really nice and sturdy USB-C to USB-C cable, but none of them come with a charger, and I'll be using these three unique options from ESR. This is the first Apple certified 6-in-1 MagSafe charger with GaN. We're getting 15-watt wireless made for MagSafe charging on the iPhone. It charges the iPhone faster than the regular MagSafe by keeping it cool with Cryo Boost. There's a 5-watt charger for the Apple Watch and a dedicated wireless charging pad for your AirPods. On top of that, you have 2 USB-C ports and 1 USB-A port for charging additional devices like a MacBook or an iPad. You can have your phone in portrait or landscape mode, which is great for standby mode, which I'll show you in a minute, and you can turn off the fan and the charging status light while you sleep. For travel, check out the 3-in-1 wireless charging set. It's foldable, which makes it super portable, and you can wirelessly charge your iPhone, AirPods, and Apple Watch. Finally, in my car, I've been using ESR's wireless made for MagSafe charger. It has a super strong magnet, so I don't have to worry about my phone falling, and again, Cryo Boost makes sure that my phone charges fast and, most important, doesn't heat up. So click the links in the description to check out these chargers, and thank you to ESR for sponsoring this portion of the video. All right, now let's get to the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max, where I love the changes to the design. Now I have both of them in blue titanium, and I'll be getting the natural titanium and black titanium when they're released, which I'm super excited about. And again, you'll see those in my future videos. What I noticed immediately with the blue titanium is that it's pretty dark, and the blue really comes out when the light hits it at certain angles. Again, we have a matte finish on the back, which I love, and the sides are now brushed titanium, an absolute fire. They're not only super strong, but also help make the whole iPhone lighter. And again, we're seeing the contoured edges, so the iPhone 15 Pro is more comfortable to hold. The back of the iPhone has the toughest glass on any smartphone, and the front is even stronger with Apple's ceramic shield. There's also a super important internal design change that not a lot of people are talking about, but the new design makes the iPhone more repairable, and it enables separate back glass replacement. Of course, both the regular and Pro models have an IP68 rating, so they can withstand being submerged in up to 6 meters of water for up to 30 minutes. But what about the display? So the display itself didn't change. It's still Liquid Retina XDR, still 120 Hz adaptive refresh rate, and it still looks amazing. What has changed as part of the redesign are the bezels. And if you put the Pro model side by side with the iPhone 14 Pro, you'll see that the bezels are noticeably small. Now, this allowed Apple to make the whole phone smaller and lighter while keeping the same display size. And in fact, the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max are the lightest Pro models yet. Now, one of the features that I'm most excited about is the action button. Now, this replaces the mute toggle and adds some super useful functionality. So for me, I always have my phone on mute, and I never use the mute button. And don't worry, you could still mute and unmute your iPhone in the control center. Now, by default, the action button still enables and disables silent mode. You can tap to see the status or long hold to change it. But if you go into settings and you search for action button, you'll see a really cool new interface where you can set the action button to change a focus mode, turn on the camera app or the flashlight app, start a voice memo, turn on magnifier, or activate a shortcut, which essentially offers unlimited options. For example, if I wanted the button to open up YouTube for me, I create a quick shortcut and boom. Apple also made some really important changes to the camera system. Now, I'll only introduce them here, and again, I'll do a deep dive into detailed videos. So we're now getting the equivalent of 7 lenses. The ultra-wide 12 megapixel camera, which is a 13mm equivalent, and is great for when you want to capture more of the scene or if you're in a really small room. It also doubles as a macro lens for when you want to get super close to a subject. We then have a larger sensor than what we had on the iPhone 14 Pro with the 48 megapixel main camera, which defaults to 24mm and has 2 more options at 28 and 35mm. Now, this isn't just cropping into the sensor, and the ISP also helps with changes to things like lens compression, and we're also still getting a 24 megapixel image. Next, we're getting a 2-time telephoto at 48mm, and then finally a 12 megapixel telephoto camera again with a larger sensor, but we do see some important differences between the iPhone 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max. The 15 Pro gets a 3x zoom, which is 77mm equivalent, and the 15 Pro Max gets a 5x zoom, which is 120mm equivalent. And that's great for sports and for wildlife. We're also getting optical image stabilization in all 3 directions for the first time. Now, there are a ton of super impressive features and capabilities for both photography and video, which are mostly going to matter to a select group of users. But most of the average users who just want to point and click will absolutely benefit from improvements to the photonic engine, the ISP, and the camera system itself, even if they aren't super interested in why. Now, the fact is that if you really want to take the best photos you can with an iPhone, the Pro models are definitely the way to go, and the difference between the iPhone 15 Pro and the Pro Max is the 3x versus 5x telephoto camera. Now, to power all of this new tech, as well as the new gaming capabilities of the iPhone 15 Pro, Apple introduced the new A17 Pro chip. And since they typically bring the iPhone Pro chip from the previous year to the current year's regular iPhone model, I'm curious what they plan on doing next year. Like, is there gonna be an A17, or will the A17 Pro go into the iPhone 16? So this chip is insanely powerful. It's built on the latest 3nm transistor technology. It has the fastest CPU in any smartphone, a new Pro-class GPU, and a faster neural engine. This new chip powers all the new camera features like ProRes. We're also getting more efficient streaming services, and the new USB-C controller supports USB 3 speeds of up to 10 gigabits per second. So even though all the iPhone 15 models have a USB-C port, the regular 15 and 15 Plus only support USB-C 2. Now, practically speaking, this isn't really going to matter for the vast majority of users, but if you regularly transfer a lot of media from your iPhone to another device, the faster transfer speed with the iPhone 15 Pro will save you a lot of time. In terms of battery life, we're seeing the same rating that we saw last year, which is really nice considering the smaller size and the improved performance. Which brings me to gaming. Now, it's pretty crazy to even say it, but we're getting AAA games on a phone. Apple showcased Resident Evil, and the new mesh shading and hardware accelerated ray tracing are going to open the door to a level of gaming that we just have never seen on a phone before. I'm talking about a console version of the game with you anywhere you go. That's nuts. Now, I'm actually going to start uploading some console and PC gaming content in addition to the mobile gaming that I've been covering, so if that's something that you're interested in, you know what to do. I'm finishing up a detailed battery drain test with all 4 phones plus a couple of other ones, and I'll put it up here when it's ready. You know what I always say, buy it nice or buy it twice. Good luck and see you soon.